And he said, "Thou shalt not go through." And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border. So it could have been peaceful. He could have just been like, yeah, I have my men watching and making sure that they don't try nothing stupid and just go ahead and let them pass through. But instead he decided to complicate it, and came out to fight against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through the border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. And the Lord spake. So now he gave them a hard time, and it's saying that they turned away from him. So the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter unto the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah. So now God is saying, because y'all rebelling against me, just quit, just not having faith in him about the little things. Now you going into these battles, you trying to get into this land, and you ain't gonna get into this land because you over here rebelling against me, talking down on me about some water. How you gonna believe in me to bring you into this land to possess this land? All right, where it's flowing with milk and honey. He ain't trying to starve you. He's trying to give you abundance. So then take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up unto Mount Hor in the sight of the congregation, and Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there in the top of the mount, and Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount, and all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead. They mourned Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. So Miriam was deceased, and now Aaron was deceased, but Moses was still alive. And King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies. So now King Arad, the Lord sent them into the land of the Canaanites to spy it out. When he told Moses to send them, and that's when Caleb and Joshua was like, it's a good land and it's filled with milk and honey, and fruit and everything. But now they could have went and got this king and possessed this land, and went on ahead and won this battle, but they was too afraid. And there was some things that God did to them. He destroyed he destroyed 250 princes and consumed them with fire, I believe. He destroyed some men who had come against Moses and swallowed them up in the earth. He destroyed 14,000 Israelites with the plague that came against Moses after these princes were consumed by the Most High God, that were all trying to say that Moses was wrong for trying to bring them into these lands and have them fight. And they was like, well, who are you to give us commands and tell us what to do? But it was God that was telling Moses what to do concerning these millions, 600,000 men and women and children, not included in that number, all out in the wilderness. And y'all think y'all finna be some punks and sit up talking about you going back to Egypt, or you finna rule over something. You not the one who brought them out of Egypt, so you was not the one who gonna command them to do nothing in the wilderness. You gonna sit back and you gonna take these commands from Commander Moses, who brought y'all out by the hand of God out of Egypt. So 14,000 of them was destroyed by the plague, and the Lord had to put the fear of God in them to fear him, to obey him, so that they could be brought into these lands in order. So now they could have already been fought this king and his people after the spies went into the land. Now they were spying out the land, and people saw them and reported this to the king Arad, in Canaanite. The Canaanite. And now he knows that people was up in his land spying, so he already knows something finna go down. And now, okay, we in Numbers chapter 21 and King Arad. So like that's in any country you go to, if people find out that somebody done came and spied out land in their country, they're gonna get with you about that, because that's a threat to their national security. So Israel going into this king land was a threat to his nation's security, and he had to assemble his military to go into battle. All right. So when King Arad and the Canaanite which dwelt in the south heard tell Israel that Israel came to spy, and he took some of them prisoners. He fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. So he did, and that's what they do. Like if you go to somebody's country and you not from there and you spying and stuff, they are gonna call you a terrorist. They're gonna find you. They're gonna hunt you down. They're gonna take you and put you up in a jail cell, up in the prison, and that's what they did to Israel. They fought them and they took some of them prisoner. And now Israel had been speaking against God and not really being faithful. So Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord. Right after that happened, the very next verse, Numbers chapter 21, verse 2. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their city. So now they're saying we're not afraid, because they saw how this king came out and beat them up and took some of them and threw them up in the jail cell. And they like, well, if you're going to be with us, then we're going to go in them cities and we're going to destroy the hell out of them folks. And the Lord hearkened unto Israel and delivered up the Canaanites. So now the Lord listened to them, and he said, okay, so because y'all have faith in me, I'm going to deliver these Canaanites up for y'all, and I'm going to let y'all win. And they utterly destroyed them in their cities. So now these is people that done came out from slaves, never knew anything about war. And it goes back to the Bible verse where God said he trained my hands for battle. He trained my hands to break a bow of bronze. This is what it means when you fight with the Lord and when you are trained by the Lord, because they did not have they didn't grow up just military. They were slaves and they was oppressed, and they didn't have any sort of military or army. So this was called the place of Hormah, and they journeyed from Mount Hor by the Red Sea to come past the land of Edom. And I know y'all hear that a lot, Edomites and Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way, and the people spoke against Moses because it was a long journey. So now God done already let them win the battle, and they sitting over here talking bad about God again and murmuring against Moses, his anointed. And they was turning around and making God upset again after they just made a vow to him that they would be obedient. But they're over here talking bad again because they had to journey a long way. So they was walking like, oh, we tired and we so tired of walking. And, after they just won this battle. So hold on. And then therefore the people came to Moses, we have sinned against God, because the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and a lot of the people died. Of course, Moses cared about the people, and he was asking God, to please. Moses prayed for them. God, please, these fiery serpents you done sent, please take them away. And the Lord said, make thee a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that was bitten shall look at it and shall live. And so he did it, and it stopped the serpents from biting them. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth, and they journeyed from Oboth and pitched at Barim, in the wilderness, which is before Moab, toward the sun rising. So let me tell you something about that. So he taught them, he's teaching them how to behave with him, because now he's like, okay, now y'all know not to question me and talk bad to Moses and all of that while y'all journeying. So they turned around and journeyed from one city to another city without all that complaining and stuff that they was doing, because that's not gonna help the journey. It's gonna make it worse. It's gonna mess stuff up, all that complaining and stuff. And so now they pitched in the valley of Zared. Then they removed their pitch and they pitched on the other side of Arnon, and that cometh out of the coast of the Amorites. For Arnon is the border of Moab. So now they're traveling by the brooks of Arnon. No. Therefore, wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon. Okay. And at the stream of the brooks that goeth down the dwelling of Ar. So they was traveling a lot. And from thence they went to Beer. That is the well whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water. So the Lord knew when they had enough and when they needed water, and he was going to provide that. And I know somewhere in the scriptures it also says, don't worry about what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, things like that, because the Lord thy God will provide that for you. So the princes digged the well, the nobles of the people digged it by the direction of the lawgiver, and the wilderness, and from the wilderness they went to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamath, and from Bamath in the valley, that is the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looked toward Jeshimon. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through the land. We will not turn into thy fields or thy vineyards. We will not drink of thy water of thy well, but we will go along by the king's highway until we pass. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through. So the first so they went, they have the king, the Edom. So Edom refused to let them go. We know about that. So now this is Sihon, king of the Amorites. And he's refusing to allow them to pass through, because when God brought them out of Egypt, first of all, he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that his children would inherit this land. And these children are his children, and his grandchildren, his great-great-grandchildren. God promised he would number them like the star of the sky, the sand on the sea, and on the shore, on the shore. And it's a lot of them, and they need somewhere to live where they're not being abused and oppressed, and people don't want to let them come into their land. And of course it's benefiting them by letting them stay in the land, and it's not benefiting the Israelites by them being in these lands, and they needed to be defeated anyway. So because they was not even people of God, they was wicked people. And what I have found out about people that don't worship God, with all the child sacrifice stuff and the evil, wicked stuff that these people do, man, God knew what he was doing when he was